today. It is Wednesday, December the 6th. The time is 2:01 p.m., 2:02 p.m. now. We're going to get started with our agenda, and I would like to ask Ms. Representative Ann Marshall if she would give our invocation, if you would stand if you're able. Thank you.
Let us pray. Creator God, we just thank you for this day that you've created for us to enjoy, and we just ask that you just continue to lead and guide this committee as we go forth with our business. And we just ask that you just continue to give direction and knowledge and wisdom to the nation as we go about doing the best we can for our citizens. And we just come to you and just give you all the praise and all the glory, and we know that we come with thankful and grateful hearts this day. And we just want to just continually to be thankful to you. And we just ask all these things in your name. Amen.
No, Representative Marshall. We'll call Legislative Clerk April Lindsay.
Mary Crawford.
Present.
Joyce Steer.
Present.
Leonard Gouge.
Here.
Robert Huff.
Present.
Anna Marshall.
Present.
Madam Chair, you got 5 present and 0 absent.
5 present and 0 absent establishes a quorum. All business conducted will be official. We now have the approval of minutes of November the 1st, 2023.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Representative Marshall.
I believe we've had an opportunity to review the minutes, and I make a motion that we approve the minutes with any necessary changes.
We have a motion on the floor from Representative Marshall to approve the minutes of November the 1st, 2023. Is there a second? Second by Representative Crawford. Roll call vote, please.
Anna Marshall.
Yes.
Leonard Gouge.
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Mary Crawford.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. The minutes of November the 1st, 2023 are approved. The first order of business is NCA 23-154, a law of the Muskogee Creek Nation authorizing the expenditure of the Department of Health and Human Services Administration for children and families low-income home energy assistance program funds for the benefit of the Muskogee Creek Nation Social Services Program. Sponsor Robert Huft.
Motion do pass.
We have a motion from Representative Huff for due pass. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Gouge. Discussion.
Is there someone from the Social Service Department there?
Yes, she's coming forward.
Thank you, Mado.
Hi.
I'm Dayla Frank. I'm
Dayla
the
Frank.
supervisor for the energy program on behalf of Aaron Salzman for the tribal energy, or tribal program manager. She's absent today.
Hey, did you want to explain this legislation?
Yes. So this authorizes for the Muskogee Creek Nation Social Services Department to expend the federal grant funding received from the Administration of Children and Families. This funding is for the operation of the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, which is called the LIHEAP program, which provides heating and cooling assistance to qualifying applicants.
Thank you. Are there questions from the committee for Ms. Frank?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Representative Marshall.
On this, maybe I missed it somewhere in the legislation, but is there a set amount of families that you're going to serve, and is there a certain amount that they'll be receiving?
So the center amount is for anyone living inside jurisdiction that are federally enrolled in a federally recognized tribe inside of jurisdiction. The allotment, depending on the income-based program it is, it could be $400 to $600.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other questions for Ms. Frank from the committee? Are there questions from council online or in attendance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Robert Huff.
Yes. Yes.
Mary Crawford.
Yes.
Anna Marshall.
Yes.
Leonard Gouge.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. NCA 23-154 is passed. Next item is NCA 23-155, a law of the Muskogee Creek Nation authorizing the expenditure of grant funds awarded from the United States Department of Agriculture and appropriating the tribal match for the benefit of the Muskogee Creek Nation Food Distribution Program. Sponsor, Mary Crawford.
Motion for due pass?
We have a motion for a due pass from Representative Crawford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Representative Marshall. Discussion.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is just our award letter from our funding agency to approve our budget for the year.
Are there questions from the committee? Are there questions from council online or in attendance on this legislation?
I have a question.
Representative Marshall.
Do you know what the fund account, the money, the matching fund is coming from? Would you know that?
What fund?
Yeah, the. Never mind.
Okay.
Are there other questions? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Anna Marshall,
Yes.
Leonard Gouge,
Yes.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Mary Crawford.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. NCA 23-155 is passed and will be sent to BF&J for funding source.
Thank you.
Next item is NCA 23-156, a law of the Muskogee Creek Nation authorizing the expenditure of grant funds awarded from the U.S. Department of the Interior, Bureau of Indian Affairs for the benefit of the Muskogee Creek Nation Head Start Program. Sponsor, Robert Huft.
Motion to pass?
We have a motion on the floor from Representative Huff for due pass. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Representative Gouge. Discussion. Could you speak into the mic and we can identify yourself,
Could you hear me
please?
now? Can you hear me now? Okay. I'm Cora Cameron, Head Start Manager. This is Dana Wells, my health coordinator. This grant for installing car seats, having set up. So we'd be able to purchase 125 car seats and then have stations to install them. Our seats will be from infant to booster seats.
Is that it?
We'll have two, one in after the first of the year, and then a couple months later we'll have another one set up
Thank
in
you.
the community.
Other questions from the committee for Ms. Frank? I'm sorry, Ms. Cameron. Ms. Cameron, I'm sorry. Other questions from council online or in attendance? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Robert Huff,
Yes.
Mary Crawford,
Yes.
Anna Marshall, Leonard Gouge.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor and 0 against. NCA 23-156 is passed.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We're down to other business, and we do have other business, NCA 23-160, and I will relinquish the chair to the vice chair, Representative Mary Crawford.
NCA 23-160, a law of the Muskogee Nation authorizing a supplemental appropriation for the Muskogee Creek Nation Citizenship Office fiscal year 2024. Sponsor is Representative Joyce Deere.
Motion do pass.
We have a second.
Sorry, I need to make a motion to add it to the agenda.
Make a motion that we add. Oh, okay, I second it.
Joyce Deere,
Yes.
Anna Marshall,
Yes.
Leonard Gouch,
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor, zero against. NCA 23-160 is approved to be on the agenda.
Madam Chair, I make a motion for a due pass.
Have a second.
Second.
Second by Representative Marshall.
Good afternoon. So this is just asking for appropriation for attorney fees for our office for the fiscal year 2024.
We have any questions from any council members online or in attendance?
Madam Chair, I have a question. Did you estimate high on this, or do you feel like you will need all of this funding?
We'll probably use all this money. We're hoping that we won't. We started out with 50,000. Our first bill was about 18,000 for about 40 hours. So I think this will get enough for the first round. We're hoping.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, Vice Chair, I have one question. Representative Deere had asked if you were going to use all the funds. Do you anticipate coming back again and asking for additional funds in the future?
We're hoping not. It's kind of hard to determine how much we're going to use. We don't know what the outcome's going to be. So we kind of just went off of a figure that we went out, 200,000 I think is going to be enough, like I said, for the first round of this. We're hoping.
Thank you.
I'd rather, I don't want to ask for too much and then just be sitting in there and then, so we'll go, play it by ear and then go from there, I guess. See.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any more questions from council? Or council members online or in attendance? Roll call vote, please.
Joyce Deere,
Yes.
Anna Marshall,
Yes.
Leonard Gouch,
Yes.
Robert Huff.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you got 4 in favor and 0 against.
4 in favor, 0 against. NCA 23-160 has passed and will be referred to BF&J for funding.
Thank you.
And I relinquish the chair back to Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Crawford. We will now we're in other business, and we will have an update from our Secretary of Health, Mr. Sean Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, committee. You should have, the report was emailed to you guys that you'll have to read at your leisure. One of the highlights that will be on the first page that you read this month, I'm sure all of you are aware that there's a lot of sick folks running around right now. There's all kinds of respiratory disease, between COVID, RSV, the flu, strep. There's just an entire series of various respiratory illnesses. Last week, we tested over 600 folks for COVID. There was about a 14% positivity rate for COVID. And, you know, luckily, we only had 5 hospitalizations for COVID over the last month. So we don't see that this is becoming a serious hospitalization virus, but COVID has picked back up. The only real treatment that we currently have for COVID, if you have symptoms, they still encourage you just to treat the symptoms with over-the-counter cold and flu medicines like you would with anything. There is, for those that are at more severe, higher risk, there's a medication called Paxlovid. Just to give you a warning, it tastes awful. Gives your mouth sort of a metallic taste, and most people don't enjoy the taste of that. But a lot of respiratory illness out there. All of the clinics have been very full with respiratory illnesses. We have recently added an option for a vaccine for RSV for elders and for pregnant women. For those of you that aren't familiar with RSV, historically that's always been a virus for children that you heard of them getting. There is an adult strain that's out that's affecting elders and pregnant women. The CDC recommends that adults that are 60 years and older can receive a single dose of RSV vaccine. And so that's out there if anyone needs it. The maternal vaccine is recommended for pregnant people during that 32 to 36 weeks gestation. And so a lot of respiratory illness. We have been rolling out a strategic plan for 2024 for the Department of Health. We've built a strategic plan really around what we're calling the 5 pillars, which is enhancing patient care, the patient experience and satisfaction, employee growth and satisfaction, community engagement and outreach, and financial growth and sustainability. Around the enhancing patient care, at the top of our clinical indicators, we're focusing on diabetic patients that have a hemoglobin A1C that's above 7. When you look at our patient base, we have 300 patients, 300 Creek citizens that have a hemoglobin A1C that's over an 11 today. We've challenged all of our clinics and physicians and teams that we need to go full focus on those 300 citizens and patients. We're looking at options anywhere from having remote patient monitoring in the homes so that we can engage with them in real time, and engaging our home health partners. And so our goal this year is really to get all of those A1Cs driven back down for our folks. And then we're going to be hyper-focused on hypertension this year. If you walk into an optometry appointment or a dental appointment or a physical therapy appointment and you have a diagnosis of hypertension, you're probably going to have someone that's going to ask you to get your blood pressure taken today, and trying to get control of that. And then, of course, all of the efforts that we've made in the last couple of years with our obesity efforts, with all of our weight loss medications, surgeries, programs, we're going to be hyper-focused on that. And then lastly, our 2 last clinical measures, we're going to be also hyper-focused on colon cancer screening and breast cancer screening. As the current recommendation for women to get their first mammogram today, I think, is at the age of 40. And because we have such a higher incidence of breast cancer, I've really encouraged our team that maybe we need to start screening people at the age of 35. just try to get ahead of this thing and not wait until it's 40, since we're catching that later and later. So you're going to be seeing these initiatives each month. We're going to have entire campaigns around all of these initiatives. So we'll be really focused on that. We spoke a little bit in the past about us starting the call center out there. I know that one of the biggest complaints that comes to the National Council is always about answering phones. We called up there, no one's answering the phones, nobody returned my call. In the month of November, and keep in mind November is a short month because we had Thanksgiving and Native American Day and you name it, but we did over 9,000 phone calls in the call center in the month of November. All of those phone calls are getting answered by a real person, and they're being handed off to someone at the appropriate location. They're not supposed to hand that phone call off until they can do it with a real person. So we've really seen the amount of complaints about return phone calls and answering phones going down with the addition of that. I'd like to give our appreciation to all of the members of the Health Committee and other National Council members that helped us during our luncheon for our Employee Service Awards. We had a really good event. We had over 44 employees that were recognized, and we had one employee who celebrated her 40th year. So that was a great day, and thanks for you guys helping make that happen. All of the facility management projects, they're all going. It's never fast enough for anyone. We're right in the middle of design for Holdenville and Sapulpa. That's going the way that it should be. You can read about it. For the Muskogee Hospital, we've pushed that we're going to start moving Dr. Reed in her clinic over there in January. We're going to have behavioral health over there in January, and also our medication-assisted therapy grant with the tribal opioid grant folks over there in January. So it's going to start to come to life in January. So we're excited about that. I put all of the graphs that we typically give you guys in there. Everything is trending the way that it should be. We've had, despite a short month, we had a good financial year, and I'll let Ms. Crawford speak more about that. But I'm happy to answer any questions from committee if you have any.
Thank you, Secretary Terry. I have a question or two questions. You mentioned the RSV vaccine. Is that being given at all the facilities?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And then also on the national news, they have mentioned the after effects of COVID, and for those people that took the vaccine but still got COVID, there's some after effects, or they're thinking that's what caused it. Does your staff agree with that, or how do you feel?
So it's a little bit of a complicated answer for us. We were one of the first facilities anywhere that started a post-COVID clinic. And we tried to get all of our people that were positive with COVID during that Alpha and Delta phase of the pandemic to come in and let us take a blood panel. One of the things that we saw with those folks that caused a lot of those cardiovascular problems, there was what's called the elevated D-dimer level, and that is one of the things that causes your blood to clot. And so if you have higher rates of blood clots, that can lead to other cardiovascular problems. I think over the last year, people have just been so sick of COVID and masking, and sick of having to be made to take a shot and get sick and be quarantined and stay at home and not stay at home. And what do? We just can't, we could not get folks interested in doing post-COVID clinics. And so I think all of our doctors go and see their doctor, their own family medicine doctor, if they're having complications. So we have seen some complications of people that still haven't got all of their breathing back the way that they had it before. So it's definitely out there, but some of that, we definitely think there needs to be more sampling, more blood sampling and more screening and things. And that requires people are going to have to be proactive in doing that. But for sure, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Are there other questions for Mr. Terry? Other questions from council online or in attendance? Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Terry.
Thank you, Madam
And
Chair.
Ms. Crawford will give the financial reports now. Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Crawford.
Afternoon, Madam Chair. Thank you. The financial statements are just through September. We're still trying to get everything else in for the FY23, so I do expect these will change a little bit after that. All the revenue is in, but I think they're still paying some invoices. We had a really good year. We've had on the gross revenue side, a 10% increase over last year in gross revenue between the clinics and the hospitals. 11% increase, and then a 17% increase in net revenue. This is partly due to trying to make sure that all of our patients are signed up for coverage if they're eligible. So there's been a lot more efforts directed towards that, and so that is resulting in better net revenue. So our cash continues to grow. In October, we got our first payments for Council Oak Hospital, so we'll start seeing that net revenue number go up with that hospital collections as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions there are on the financials.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. Are there questions for Ms. Crawford on this report from the committee? Are there questions from council online or in attendance? Hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Crawford.
Thank you.
Bedeau. Okay, we're down to announcements on our agenda. Are there any announcements from the committee? I would just like to take a moment of personal privilege to wish everyone, the nation, a happy holiday season, a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and hope we continue to be progressive and have a good 2024 year. So thank you for being
Chairman
supportive.
Beard?
Yes, Representative
This is
Thomasine. Yes, Representative
Yeah.
Yahola Osborne.
If you don't mind, I'd just like to, and under the announcements, I'm sorry, that BF&J, we have a meeting tomorrow at 3 p.m. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Now we're down to adjournment and benediction. I would like to ask Representative Crawford if she would do our benediction, if you would stand with if you are able, and this will serve as our adjournment. Thank you.
Lord Jesus, I just thank you for this beautiful day. Just thank you for allowing us to come together, conduct business for our nation. Thank you for the guidance and knowledge that you bless us with, that we may make the right choices for our nation. Everybody that's here today, as we all go our separate ways, all in your most precious name.
Bedeau. We're out of session at 2:31 p.m.